Feel it's my time, think it's my year. Yeah.
Are we live? Yes, we are live. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the morning show here on Stock Market TV. It's the best morning show in finance. I am Spencer Israel. I've got JC Parets. I've got Steve Strazza. I've got Chart Master Alfonso backstage whipping up charts for us in real time. It's great. Everyone should have their own chart master. If they're not their own chart master, have a chart master. It's incredible. Okay. Here's what's on the docket for today. Oh, and he says he has a mystery chart for us today. That's going to be fun. A mystery chart. Okay, we'll get to that later. Guest today, Brett Conrad from Longboard Capital will be joining us at 8:50. We'll have Kimmy. We'll have Mary. We got some earnings. We got some charts, maybe a couple of charts from JC's conference call last night. Just a couple, obviously. We're not going to go through all 800 of them. We don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Anyway, good morning. Hit the like button, everyone. Good morning, chat. Let's roll.
Mr. Strazza.
So 800 charts. I must have missed a good one last night.
800 charts? What do you mean 800 charts?
I don't know. It wasn't quite 800 charts. How many charts was it last night, JC?
It was 150 slides in 56 minutes.
All right. I was close.
Is that all right?
I had it on. It was 6 o'clock. I'm ready to go. JC's on there talking about wine, or you're talking about Utah or something. And old neighbor stopped by, hang out and talk for 2 hours. I missed the whole show.
Listen, I think it was a short one, only 56 minutes, only 150 charts on this one. So this one was quick and dirty, right to the point. Not a lot has changed over the last couple of weeks. Some developments that we need to discuss, some new trade ideas, of course. But generally speaking, more of the same. We are now entering that seasonally best period of the year. And before we go into the state of the market stress, I wanted to ask you a question. Spencer wanted to steal this one from you, but this was more appropriate for you.
Okay.
So the wealthiest 1% of Americans hold 54% of stocks. The top 10% of Americans own 90% of stocks. The bottom 50% of American adults own less than 0.5% of stocks. They only own $21 billion. So that and zero might as well be the same. So the bottom 50% of U.S. households essentially have no exposure whatsoever to the stock market. And the wealthiest have the most exposure. Top 10% own 90% of the stocks. So if the lower half of the wealthiest, or the least wealthy lower half of American adults, own virtually no stocks at all. And the least wealthy, or the poorest, if you will, are the most impacted, is my understanding, by things like the economy and things like inflation, right?
Yeah, negatively.
Correct. And in fact, inflation is probably a good thing for the wealthiest, from what I hear from my fundamental friends and my economist friends and whatnot. I have those, by the way. Why on earth should we care at all about the economy and inflation that is really impacting the people that have no exposure whatsoever to the stock market?
Ooh.
And the little that they do doesn't matter at all.
Put me in, coach. I know this one.
Hold on. Settle down, Spencer. I wanted to ask Strazza. I feel like he's more informed than I am when it comes to this stuff. And Spencer, I'll give you your turn. You'll have your turn.
So you're approaching this issue of wealth inequality from a, what does it mean for my capital markets?
What does it mean for my portfolio? This isn't me being, insensitive. This isn't me being, this is simply, I have money to put to work. I want to know what data to focus on so I could be the most informed to put my personal money to work, my family's money. Nothing else matters in this particular conversation. It's if the inflation and the economy impacts those that don't matter to the stock market, then why should I care about the economy and the inflation?
I don't know if that bottom 50% stat is including things like pensions and retirement accounts. right? Because what
It
will
is.
then my answer would be those funds are material, right? And if enough people are out of work or are losing their jobs, then they're not contributing and buying stocks as an automatic buyer once a month.
It's less than half a
And
percent
maybe-
they own less than half a percent of all of the stocks. So what does it matter?
It-
Let's say they lose all of it. Let's say it goes to zero. It still doesn't matter.
You're just saying, the majority of retail investors don't move the needle. We already knew that.
Right. I didn't quite realize it to this degree when I started looking at some of the statistics, how egregious it was, to the point where if the lower half of the population owns nothing and doesn't impact the stock market at all, literally they could double their allocation can go to zero, it won't matter, then why should we care?
Things get hairy and there would be indirect costs that would eventually flow through, right, to the wealthier.
You think?
I'm not the one to ask, though. I really don't know. It seems
all right. Well,
it would seem immaterial to me.
You're disappointing me, Strazza. What about Spencer? You had your chance. Spencer, you want to weigh in?
Yeah, I think you're misconstruing exposure to the stock market with impact on the economy. Okay, those are two different things.
Well, isn't the lower half of American adults the most impacted by economic slowdowns and rises?
Right, and it's their spending. It's their spending that drives corporate earnings, right, and drives fundamentals.
Yeah,
and
it's a consumer issue.
Right. Thank you. Right. You're talking about consumer health is what you're talking about right now, right? So if the consumer is not healthy, then that will impact the stock market.
So he's talking about fundamentals. JC's talking about technicals. What Spencer's saying is eventually that will hurt the economy so much. We are a consumer-driven economy that will be reflected in poor earnings reports, right?
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
And then that will eventually impact flows, and people won't want to buy those stocks, even if they have the money to buy them and are completely unaffected.
Got it. All right. That's a good
Another
answer.
thing I will say, as scary as those numbers are out in Southeast Asia, some of the countries I visited, it's more like 95%.
I was going to say, yeah, in America, it's really not that bad.
No, it's not actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of good.
I think it is getting better, but yeah.
It's nowhere near what it is in all these countries. And people are complaining that the top 10%, the top 10 stocks represent 30-something% of the stock market. That's nothing. It's way more egregious in other countries. Like, that's nothing. In America, we are very diversified.
It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
If you benchmarked us against some other countries, we would look great with those numbers.
Yeah, it's true. All right. Like, imagine if Apple represented 50% of our stock market or whatever.
The argument you were just making about market participants, right? Big versus small.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a parallel to the market itself and the companies that are big versus small? The ones that can stomach inflation, work with it, and even benefit during a rising interest rate, rising inflation.
Well, I mean, we're seeing it, right? That's been your point, that you were seeing it.
Versus the little ones that just can't.
Right. The small caps, financials that just, right. No, that's fair. That's fair. Cool. All right. Enough of this. Can we get back to what matters? Let's go.
Yeah.
Do it,
baby. Hit it. Okay. I wanted to actually, let me just replace this slide quickly. I wanted to start out. I thought this was good. I wanted to start out with this one. Start with slide 2 here. I think it makes a lot of sense to kind of really put things in perspective where we're at. This is the old Dow theory plus semis, right? The Dow Jones Industrial Average, the companies that make the goods. You've got the Dow Transports. These are companies that deliver those goods. And of course, it's 2023. I doubt that we're delivering most goods and services through railroads like we were when Charlie Dow came up with this 150 years ago or so, 140 years ago, something like that. So semiconductors are really that replacement. And, rest in peace, Charlie Dow. I'm not trying to replace, his methodology here. I'm trying to build on top of it, right? We stand on the shoulders of giants and whatnot. So adding semiconductors to this mix has made a lot of sense to us over the years. It's certainly been helpful. And as it turns out, it's helpful here once again to reiterate indexes are suggesting The Dow Jones Industrial Average, semis, transports, really stuck in this range. That's really what we're seeing here. And if you want to go up to slide 1 and zoom in on a similar sort of situation here, the S&P 500 really right in the middle of that range. Right. So I think if we're above 4,200, the path of least resistance remains higher. Right. The trend is up over the last year, higher lows and higher highs. We call those uptrends, Spencer. I don't know what they call them in New Jersey or where I grew up. Higher highs, higher lows. Those are uptrends.
We call them uptrend here. That's what we call them.
All right, very good. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, you're like a pizza bagel, right? Is that what's going on here?
Sure, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And then let's be serious. Go to slide 7 here. Sorry, not slide 7. Slide 3. Check out slide 3, and we talked about this a bunch, but it's important to reiterate. If you think the S&P is making new highs, if you think the Dow is going to make new highs, the sectors that are driving these things need to make new highs. Technology represents close to a third of the S&P 500. Industrials are the ones most correlated with the S&P 500. So you got your big two right here on your left. Semiconductors, just reiterating more of the same. Homies as well on the consumer discretionary side, right? That's what it looks like to me. And what I really find interesting, go to the next slide, is just how surprised investors are that the market is correcting and is acting messy during the time of the year where it's supposed to correct and act messy. To the point where if the market wasn't doing what it's been doing over the last 3 months, that would actually be very weird. So I really don't know what people are so up in arms about. Go to the next chart, zoom in. You could see that market correcting during a time that it's supposed to be correcting. I mean, this is as normal as it gets. So again, I really don't know what people are so up in arms about. If the market wasn't behaving this way, that would actually be really weird. So historically speaking, we should be getting that end of year rally starting right about now. Buy in October and get yourself sober. And then what's the catalyst going to be? It's not going to be the Fed. It's not going to be the earnings. It's not going to be the Trump or the war or whatever it is that they're gossiping about today. The answer is going to be the U.S. dollar. The dollar bottomed on July the 12th, the exact same day that the new 52-week highs list peaked. And then the dollar more recently here put in its top on October the 3rd. And that is still in. And since October the 3rd, the stock market has done well over the last couple of weeks. So I think that it's further dollar deterioration that is necessary for the S&P 500 and stocks in general to rally. If we do not get that, guys, I do not think we see new all-time highs. I am confident. And again, I'm open-minded. I'm down for whatever. But I'm confident that the bet that we are making is that this correlation is not going to all of a sudden change tomorrow, that the correlation is going to remain in place. And if stocks are going to go higher, you're going to see that weaker dollar. And if you don't see that weaker dollar, I don't think these S&Ps are going to be making new all-time highs. We went over everything last night, what we're doing about it. There are certainly trades underneath the surface. This is a market of stocks. The way I learned it from a wise Egyptian man many years ago was that if you trade the averages, you're going to get average returns. So we're looking at individual equities. We're looking at individual ETFs. And despite the Dow, semis, S&Ps, trannies, all trading sideways, there are plenty of opportunities underneath the surface. Great opportunities, actually. And that's what I got to say about that. What do you think about that, Mr. Israel?
Did you say rest in peace to a guy who died 111 years ago? I feel like
Charlie Dow. That's Charlie Dow, bro. That's my dog.
What is the statute of limitations on saying rest in peace to someone? Like how long ago?
For somebody like Charlie Dow or Babe Ruth or Abraham Lincoln, like.
Yeah, I don't think you need to say rest in peace to a guy that died at 1902, right?
Well, you don't have to, but for me,
all right.
I have a lot of respect for one Charles Henry Dow from Springfield, Massachusetts, and okay. I will forever respect that man.
All right.
You don't have to.
That's not what I said.
Charlie Dow, my favorite journalist of all time, by the way.
I mean, he was iconic, right?
Is he not the greatest journalist of all time? He actually told the truth.
He invented modern financial journalism. Yeah. I mean,
why don't we just segue right into this News Corp news then and talk about the Wall Street jingle?
What happened? Tell me. Do a little bump. What? Do we have a news bumper?
What, the activist?
Yeah. Did you see this?
Yeah. That was from Friday, I think.
Well,
yes, Starboard value is.
And why didn't we talk about it Friday?
It's below my line. I don't know. Do we care what every activist investor does? Like, I mean,
how much activism is going on here?
So this is an interesting one. I don't know if they have filed yet. Yeah, we don't know how much they own. So it's Starboard Value. That's Jeff Smith's.
Yeah, we talk about them a lot around here.
Yeah, they're on the list today for something different, actually.
Shocking.
So they're pushing for strategic and governance changes at the Wall Street Journal parent. Starboard believes that New Corp, one of the two arms of Rupert Murdoch's media empire, trades at a significant discount to its fair market value due to its conglomerate structure. He's looking for a breakup. He wants to spin off certain assets, it sounds like.
Probably smart.
So Starboard's stake in News Corp is sizable. People said. That's great reporting, people said. The exact magnitude couldn't be learned.
It's not a coincidence that this happens a month or less after Rupert says he's retiring, and now he put his son in charge, and now they all come swarming in, right? So
are they the family?
I don't know. We'll see what
is that what Succession is about? Is that their family?
Well, they've said it's not, but I mean,
but it is.
Who else could it have been inspired by? Even if it's not about somebody, it's inspired by somebody.
Like what's that movie? That movie from way back in the day that's all about Hearst, but they don't mention him by name.
Who?
All about who?
Hearst. What's the movie? Come on, guys, in the chat. What's the movie? That old school movie. It's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Scarface.
The Wolf of Wall Street.
You guys are the worst.
No, Wolf of Wall Street is that other scumbag.
Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane.
Hearst. Oh, that's what you were saying.
Yeah, Hearst.
Oh, yeah. William Randolph Hearst. Okay. Sure. That
Citizen
sounds
Kane.
Right to me.
Yeah. It's kind of, they don't say it by name. I remember I don't remember, I wasn't around, but my understanding from reading about it over the years is that he was very upset about that whole thing.
Oh.
Never seen it. That's a very old movie, I believe.
That's a very good movie.
Some of these old movies are pretty good.
Excellent.
Old Marilyn Monroe movies, like Some Like It Hot, like they're good. Citizen Kane.
Wow, you've seen those movies, Jason?
Well, Some Like It Hot because I've hung out in Coronado, the Hotel Del, so many times, and the movie shot there. So that was the reason why I originally watched it. Yeah,
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Particularly enjoy a good old movie.
I watched the Mickey Mouse and Disney stuff from the 1930s every day of my life here in my house with 3 kids. You'd be surprised at how good these cartoons were and how racist and, just not, not appropriate at all. And there's like a thing that says like at the beginning, like, these, images were wrong then, they're wrong now, but we're leaving it, blah, blah, blah. They have like a thing because this is the 1930s. So like the way that they describe different cultures and people could be offended by it. But man, the cartoons are very, like Cinderella, Snow White, like these things are like 80 years old, 190 years old. It's insane.
Just to clarify in the chat, Riley, Billions is not about Steve Cohen. They might tell you that. It's nothing to do with him.
All right. Should we bring
There's
on
a little bit of
Blake
inspiration there? Don't front. Come on.
It's probably based on a book that is.
God! I don't even.
All right. Whatever. Should we bring on Brett Conrad?
I think we should.
All right, he's here. Let's bring on. And he brought a lot of charts with him, so we got to actually get to these charts.
Jay, we've been friends for a long time. Make the call.
I mean, this is pretty professional, guys.
Nice show you got going here.
Brett Conrad.
Good morning.
Brett Conrad. What's up, my man?
Early here in Utah, let me tell you.
Well,
I do want an intro, though, like Steve's. Like, Steve's got the new intro, makes him look sexy and all that. I could go for that. Can you guys?
You're going to have to talk to Spencer about this.
Brett, get in line. It took Spencer six months for mine.
Wow. Throwing him under the bus. So,
well,
listen, Brett Conrad is somebody who, over the years, I like to talk to about the overall state of the markets, right? You know, what stands out, what's interesting. Brett is a DL biotech junkie. Brett is a out in the open, sort of retail, right? You're looking at retail, you're looking at apparel. You know, he throws out these random Chinese apparel companies that no one's ever heard of. He's like, JC, take a look at this one, you know? So this is how I think of Brett Conrad in my world. Is that fair to think of you that way?
He's a brands guy. You're a big brands guy.
I'm a learner,
Brands
I'd say. Yes. I agree.
Brands guy. That's good. I like that. Brands guy.
Let's talk about some brands.
Okay.
I'm opening the deck here now.
What is LVSL?
Oh, Las Vegas Surf Lake. So this is a project we're doing in Las Vegas. We're building a resort there that's going to be hopefully a couple thousand hotel rooms, casino, spa, and large surfing surf lake that's more or less circular. So
Hilarious.
it creates about a half mile of shoreline, and then we're building the whole resort around that.
Only in Vegas.
I know. Only in Vegas.
That is so funny.
Opening in like 2020, probably 8. It's going to be a while.
Should we start? Hold on. Should we start here with Lululemon, or
Sure.
I kind of really did want to ask you about that. If you want to throw slide 1,
Brett,
why not?
Wasn't Lulu in the S&P 500 at some time in the past? They're not just getting
no,
added
never. It just got added. Yeah, which has been quite a thing, right? Like it's I was there in the beginning, and it's just interesting to see a company grow through all these milestones that it's gone through, and it's a fascinating company. Once that flywheel gets going, it's only a matter of opening more stores and repeating the process, really. Shake and bake in a way. So that's what they've been doing really successfully over the years. And putting money into the bank every quarter.
So do these guys still have a bright future? I mean, they're 4 or 5 times the size they were last time we saw the stock consolidate like this.
Yeah, you can tell the last consolidation there, they were about a $5 billion company and now about a $50 billion company. Gross coming in a little bit. Their growth rates are kind of getting down into the teens, which could spell a little more consolidation to me. I don't know what their next chapter is, but the growth's all coming really right now from China. So it depends on how China goes. Will determine where the stock goes, I think, in the long run. But I think I think further consolidation is going to be in the works. But an incredible company and just a cash machine. It's like Meta, right? Like, I love that when book value per share just goes up every quarter, and it's the same with Lulu here. So eventually, the stock will break out.
I got something here. How many Canadian companies are in the S&P 500?
Oh, geez.
5, 10.
Don't look it up, Brett.
10.
No, I'm not looking it up. I'm just guessing. I'd say 5.
You want to know the answer? The answer is 1. Lululemon.
Oh,
no,
my goodness. Okay.
It's not true.
It's not true? Okay. According to Standard & Poor's, it is true. So I'm going to go with their data versus
I can't
Strazza's
be right.
gut.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, there's been a lot of Canadian retailers that just have never been able to make it in the States. And this is really outstanding that one did, Lululemon. So they have an American mindset, though, let me tell you.
Why is that? What do you mean by that?
I think more, my brother founded it. He's, was born in the States. We have, my mom was born in the States, my dad in Canada, but we were really, international from day one, our family. And I just think that he, his mindset is definitely more American. He worked on the Alaska pipeline even when he was, 20 years old. So he just gets it. He gets how to. Canadians are a little too polite, and
While
he gets
we're on
how to.
Canada,
Yeah.
Sorry, I want to know about Shopify. I own Shopify. I like the stock. I like the reversal pattern. Is it still the biggest company over there in Canada now? Right.
Love it.
This is like
Absolutely.
Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to a ARC podcast the other day, and they were talking about, how Shopify is really at this, bringing on Amazon as a partner is
Yep.
just so critical. And I've been on their app lately as well, and they're starting to basically sell different people on the Shopify platform through their app. So I kind of see them, eventually kind of, becoming more like a loose Amazon in a way, but using Amazon for logistics, but they're going to be a central part for people to go purchase product. And they're including a lot of.
Are they too big to ever be acquired by Amazon?
Probably it'd be nice, but I think there'd be antitrust there.
Right.
Because and I think that's why Amazon did the partnership with them, is they were feeling heat from the politicians, and they needed an outlet. And in a way, doing a partnership with Shopify let them do that.
Can you throw up slide 1, Spencer?
Shopify?
Yeah. Just to give some perspective on what this looks like.
Yeah.
Why'd you ask if this is the biggest Canadian stock? It's nowhere near the biggest Canadian stock.
Yeah, it is.
I doubt it. I mean, what's the market cap?
Like 60. It's nowhere near the biggest Canadian stock. What do you mean?
It used to be 1 or 2 on that list. So now it's the banks and then Shopify.
Oh, yeah. You forgot that part where Shopify lost like 90% of its value?
It used to be the biggest. There was a moment in time where it was the biggest Canadian stock.
Right. And then it lost 90% of its value. I don't know if there was like this whole like correction in the market. It was wild.
The point is, it's a big business.
It is big, and this Amazon partnership, I think, is going to propel them even larger. They just give an alternative to people to, besides going all Amazon, it gives them their own presence, their own website. Amazon doesn't do what they do, right? You can't open your own store independently of within Amazon's, ecosystem. You can do that outside, and Shopify's got all the tools. And I think they're just getting that scale and economy. I think they got a good future.
Shopify, 5th largest in Canada. Royal Bank of Canada at number 1, 120 billion. TD number 2. Then you got Canadian Natural and Canadian National Railway, CNQ and CNI, and then Shopify.
Yeah, and it's the thing, the Canadian market looks a lot like Europe, right? They just don't have big juggernaut tech companies, and
right.
Shopify is really the only one up there.
Financials and industrials.
Isn't it now?
Right. How big did BlackBerry get? Do you remember, market cap wise?
$2 billion today.
It's a billion. It's down from
2.
Probably was at least 50
that's
or
a
100.
billion more than I thought it was, actually. Look at Canada's exposure. 13% industrials, 20% energy, 10% materials, 35% financials. You got 8% tech, 1% communications, 0% healthcare. For other reasons, but interesting. Really interesting. I love looking at the components of these countries. Fascinating.
Back to Lululemon too. There's been rumblings that this company Vori is going to go public, and I heard it like a $10 billion valuation. They're doing evidently about $1 billion in sales.
They're very similar to Lulu, right? Sean loves their pants.
Yeah, so
what's the name of the company? Vori?
Vori, yeah.
V-U-O-R-I.
V-U-O-R-I. That's a stupid name. I can't even
popping up all over the place. This is a hot new store, right, Brett?
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of people wear it, so they're probably not as good as Lululemon at retail, but maybe they'll get there. I get a lot of catalogs in the mail, and they spend a lot of money on marketing. I think they're trying to push sales up for this IPO, but who knows if they've got the cash model Lululemon does. I mean, look, I just wanted to show you that book value per share number on the bottom there, how Lulu's just a cash machine.
And do they have this Viore? Do they have is it brick and mortar?
Not so much. A little more on the wholesale side, which is a different business model, which is just more difficult, I think, to maintain that customer. But they've got traction right now, for sure.
And what about some of these Asian retailers? Every now and then you throw a random $1 billion, $2 billion ticker at me. Anything you want to throw out there?
Nothing right now. I don't know. China's just a bit of a mess. The one that's going to be interesting is Antisports. There is that's 2020 on the Hong Kong exchange. You can bring it up. I don't know if you can, but
what's the
they're
ticker?
2020 2020. But they own
Centra, yeah.
They own a big chunk of Anta Sports. They've got some pink sheet one also on the U.S. exchange.
Huh. Okay.
But
yeah. 2020.hk. Yeah, here it is.
Yeah.
Got it. Nice base.
Yeah.
Honestly,
so
I see a lot worse charts. That's for sure.
So they're spinning off and going to take public in the U.S. their Amer Sports Group, which is Solomon. Have you heard of Arc'teryx, the outerwear brand? At all? No. And Wilson Sports. And Wilson's, Wilson's starting to get into apparel pretty heavily. They've got a new store in Soho, and JC, you should check it out. We've got some nice new apparel coming out. So they're going to spin off that whole division and go public here next year. So that's going to be an interesting, I think, spinoff.
That's Wilson, like the company that makes the footballs?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh. And the soccer balls, if you've seen, what's the movie where this guy's stuck out in the ocean?
I don't know. I don't really see soccer movies too often.
Oh,
it's not a soccer movie.
Survivor, something like
it's that. It's a volleyball. Right? It's a volleyball.
Yeah, it's a volleyball. That's right. Sorry, not a soccer ball. It's a volleyball. Wilson.
Yeah. Tom Hanks. Castaway. Exactly.
Yeah, Castaway.
Castaway. Tom Hanks. He has a volleyball.
It's like my favorite movie ever. Yeah. All right.
Great call. Not a soccer ball.
So it's
Cubans
a great brand.
Play soccer, like we don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard they're looking for about a $5 billion valuation on that IPO next year. So look for it. And this is, also Anta's whole thing is they're gonna, roll out, and they have been rolling out Arc'teryx in China. They're excellent retailers. And they're like the Nike of China in essence. Just no one's ever heard of them here because they haven't done a lot outside. I think they've got like Clay Thompson.
Can we throw a few of Brett's charts up there? Because I like that he's talking about my trip. I like that you're bringing up Elf Beauty. We've been talking about that here as well, right? Strazza loves his beauty products.
No, some of these cosmetics companies are they're built different. Look at these uptrends.
Oh yeah, this is amazing. Elf's blowing away everybody's expectations, I think, and the reason why it fell back a bit, was some incorrect data, I think, out in the market, and plus just things need to breathe, right? You definitely get pullbacks in uptrends, but this thing looks like it's going to take this other leg higher, and hopefully it will hit new highs again. It's just really captured the imagination. Price point's right, quality's great. Women love it. It's just taken over the whole beauty business. It's cosmetics.
Is it all online, or like what stores would be? I don't see Elf stores in the mall.
They've got a few around. I'm not sure what their store count is, but they also do, wholesale and definitely through their own website. So, kind of a combination of things. They seem to be reaching people however they're doing it.
So they don't have the smash and grab issues of Ulta.
I don't think so. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. Which
right. What is your what do you know about Indian traveling?
Well, I
don't look Indian.
This thing's I know, but just this thing's kind of come up on the radar so much, and I just love.
Show it, Spencer. Show up to my trip.
Yeah, make my trip.
It's been on our radar too. We were talking about it yesterday, actually.
Exactly. Yeah, I heard and it's been on mine as well. And I think this huge base is ready to it's stocks ready to say goodbye to the base, right? Potentially here, and just that it's in a market that this is like the best market on the planet, I think, or one of them right now. And I was just commenting that it's no doubt that JC kind of saw this whenever you started doing All-Star Charts. India was maybe 5 years ago. I'm not sure.
Something like that. Yep.
But you can kind of see, with China having all these issues with communism, India has some of its own issues with bureaucracy, but you'd rather take bureaucracy over communism, I think, in most cases. And just their GDP growth is, they've really underperformed China, but I think now's this next decade is going to be all about India, and this is a great way to play it.
I'm just looking at the segment revenue. Brett, you're absolutely right. I don't think you could find much more of a pure play. Pretty much all of their business is from India. They break out the other segments, but they shouldn't, because they are not much.
Yeah, exactly.
98% of the revenues are coming from India, so that's interesting. And they break it out between hotels, air, and bus. Bus growth has been like doubled year over year, so that's interesting. Bus ticketing.
On another note, Spencer, throw slide 2, Etsy there. I want to hear your thoughts on Etsy. My wife orders shit on Etsy constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
I think this is another juggernaut in this particular area that I think everyone, including myself, kind of dismiss. Who's going to buy some craft that some woman bought at home, and they're making one-offs, but it's an incredible, very customized site. And I just bought something off there about a week ago, a t-shirt for my friend that it was something in Europe I couldn't get, and I was able to buy it on Etsy because someone's making one-off t-shirts. I don't think they're paying the royalty or whatever, but this one I think's got a real dominant. They're the only player doing what they're doing, and I don't think there's anyone else around. So I kind of like the fact there's no competition. For them, it's just a matter of continuing to monetize all the people that have bought from them, and continuing to add more products. So I think there's just an unlimited supply of people doing handicrafts and doing small batch production, and this is what Etsy's really built.
Yeah, Brett, I make fun of my wife. My wife ordered, and I make fun of her, but I got to tell you, I actually placed an order on Etsy recently. My sister decided to marry a Patriots fan, so I'm not going to buy. And then they had a kid, right? So I'm not going to buy my niece a Patriots jersey. We're Dolphin fans. Are you kidding me? I can't do that. But right. Vince Wilfork went to the University of Miami, that I'm a big fan of, and then he's a legendary Patriot. So I bought a Vince Wilfork onesie. And for those of you who know who Vince Wilfork is, he's this giant 350-pound black man. And my niece is a 9-pound little white girl. So it's hilarious that she's wearing a Vince Wilfork jersey. Anyway, they don't make baby Vince Wilfork jerseys. They make baby Tom Brady stuff and things like that. But you're not going to get a Vince Wilfork. So I went to Etsy and I got it there. And I got a Vince Wilfork jersey for a baby. And Etsy coming through in the clutch.
Throw up chart 1. I think this is very tradable off of these lows.
Yeah. Think so too.
Score here. Trade to be made here.
Yeah.
Think so. It seems to be getting accumulated. And that, the analysts don't really like it, so that's sometimes a good thing.
Yeah.
They're not, because they're not to be trusted, right?
How much do you pay attention to, this is a good topic, these analyst reports? I know there's some are better than others. You got the Matt Bosses of the world who seem to do a pretty good job. Do you pay attention to some, throw out others? Do you read all of them, read none of them? What?
I read a few. I like the Telsey reports.
Dana Telsey. Yeah.
Yeah, she's really into retail. I mean, she's deep in it. Not a lot of the other analysts are kind of just look at more, they're just looking at past data, maybe, past financials, but, especially in retail and consumer, you got to be in the stores, talking to customers, talking to employees. That's really the way you,
Right.
you gather data for that to see what the future's like. Cause the stock's always, you're buying the future with any company, right? And just looking at historical data doesn't help that much. And that's most analysts. They're just sitting in their butts in some chair in New York and, seeing what they can find out on the internet, and that's about it. But she does her work.
Seeing what the other analysts are saying.
Yeah. But the other analysts, what?
They're going to see what the other analysts are saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know that, right? Because as soon as the stock drops off, it's like everybody after there's already been a crash, then everybody adjusts their price target.
Go to slide 1 before we let Brett go. I want to show you. This is what I got my niece on Etsy. Go throw it up there. It's so good. How about that, huh?
Wow.
Pretty good, right?
I love
look
it.
at the size of this man.
Absolutely.
By the way, he was the same size that he was in high school in the NFL. He may have gotten smaller in the NFL. That's how big he was.
He got fit. I love
so
it.
Etsy
Yeah,
coming through in the
absolutely.
clutch. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. That's like, what do they call it? Like mass customization, right? It's not even mass on Etsy, but it's small customization for, and people like unique things. And I think that's why it's a good platform for that.
Yeah.
Talk to us real quick before you go about this Birkenstock. $7 billion market cap. They sell ugly sandals. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Brett's like, I got 6 pairs. What do you mean ugly?
I mean, it's one of those things, right? Like, where do they have, is there more in their back pocket than just shoes? And I think about that with like awning, which we talked about last time, that, they've got to now move into apparel. And I think Birkenstock has to too. I think there's this footwear's just limited in a way. And not that they can't keep coming up with new versions of their sandals. And I know my sister loves them and probably has 5 pairs, but I think they've got to expand beyond that and become a different brand. I'm just not sure they're going to do that, but I think they're worth watching for sure.
They seem to have
how
at
they
least
performed. I haven't even seen since the IPO just a few days ago.
down a few days, up yesterday. They just
All right.
put a store down on Duval Street, and I guess that's like the pre-IPO move, right? Open up a bunch of new stores, get some nice new growth, go public.
Yeah. Stores are great. I mean, if you look at what happened with Apple when they started opening stores, it was like a whole new business, right? Yeah. And it just works so well with their whole ecosystem. That would have been the buy, right? I think Apple started opening stores in 2001 or something like that.
Was it that late? Was that early one?
It's actually really funny if you go back and watch like at Wall Street analyst interviews on TV about the Apple store and how it's just not going to work. It can't work.
Was the
It's
first
retail,
one the one on Fifth Avenue?
It's not going to work.
Was that the first one?
That's their flagship store. I don't know if it was the first one though.
I don't know.
Yeah. And now
anyway, just to watch these analysts destroy Apple for for even thinking about opening a store. It's stupid. Why would you do that? Well, it's because they know what they're doing.
Speaking of Apple and Birkenstock, I was reading an article in the Wall Street Journal that said Birkenstock was like famous and had a cult following back in like the 80s and 90s because they were popularized by Steve Jobs and like other cult figures. I thought that was interesting. He was a Birkenstock person.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
he
wore them.
Big hippie. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hippie tech guy.
All right. Brett Conrad, if you guys want to follow him on Twitter, you definitely should. We do. His link to his Twitter is in the description on YouTube. And, Brett.
That Longboard 96. 9'6", so
Brett.
it's kind of like surfboard length, That's how I came up with Longboard 96. So.
Surf nerd.
Nah.
Later, Brett.
Right.
Good
Thanks
talking.
a lot,
You guys have a great morning.
Thanks,
Adios.
Brett.
Yeah,
All right.
bye.
All right.
Great perspective. Very different conversation than we have with maybe a Todd Sohn or Frank Cap or something.
Interesting that this Vuori might be coming public. It seems like the IPO market, while it's far from being back, it's stalling. We are getting some IPOs trickling in here and there.
You own any of this Vuori stuff?
No. I wanted to get a pair of pants, and I looked for one in Miami. They're all out on the West Coast. It's a big California, Colorado thing.
All right. I'll buy some. I'll check it out.
People like them.
That's how I do my research, Spencer. You know what I'm saying? I get these random things. My wife's like, "What is this?"
You don't.
Oh, you know.
I thought you didn't shop.
I buy random things to like play with toys. Strazza knows. It's one of my strategies. You know,
Okay.
I spend money
Buy toys.
I buy toys. I
He
buy
buys toys.
Online though. You don't go to a store.
Listen, I went to that mall a few months ago.
Yeah.
I told you I bought a 2
That was a few months ago.
Well, that was my first mall experience in like decades.
From the
You know,
guy
big
who's
deal
never
for me.
been. This is the guy who's never been to a Target.
Yeah, right.
What
Come
am
on
I
now.
gonna do at a Target?
I don't know. You would have
Buy
to go.
gifts? It's
out.
it's great for getting gifts. It's
Gifts
like
for
Etsy,
who?
but in person.
What kind of gifts am I gonna get at Target? And who am I giving gifts to?
You can buy anything there. So
No.
it's like an everything store.
Whatever.
Isn't that called Amazon?
Hey. All right.
I
Okay.
don't understand.
Mhm.
We have
Clearly,
have
the
Kimmy
market does. Have you seen the stocks?
We have Kimmy Sokoloff here. She made a
Bring
few
her
good
in.
trades yesterday. Should we bring her in?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Kimmy.
Morning, guys.
Good morning, Kimmy.
What's going on?
Are we buying in October and getting ourselves sober?
This market, do you see that whip yesterday? I mean, the SPYs were up at 438 and all the way back down to 434 by the end of the day. I mean, that's a whip. That's
Isn't that what you're looking for, Kimmy? Isn't that what you like?
I was hoping it came to like 438, like 14 or whatever, or 20. I was looking for that gap fill. 430, never hit it. Went close and boom, right down. You know, it did hit a pre-market last week, but I was really hoping for that extra push. IWMs were leading the way yesterday, right out of the gate.
Yeah.
IWMs like started to go. I recommended it at 173 in the room. I said, and a lot of people took the trade. It was nice. Now it's like, well, you have an opportunity to get back in. So we'll see. It's been a little dicey. You know, sometimes, you know, you get that double dip and we're not as low as last week, like, or 2 weeks. Are we in our third week of October?
We are, yes.
We are,
Yeah.
sadly, yes.
Yes.
Why sadly? What's wrong with the third week of October? Halloween's around the corner.
That's true.
How-
You know, I don't know.
What are you gonna be for Halloween, Kimmy?
Nothing. I just give out candy. What are you going to be for Halloween?
I think I'm gonna be dopey. I'm gonna be a
Well,
dwarf.
you have to go around for your kids, right?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a dwarf.
What are they
my
gonna
daughter's
be?
gonna be Snow White, so I'm either dopey or grumpy, whichever costume I can get in time.
Ah.
Definitely not bashful. All right. Kimmy, good trades yesterday in Boeing, in Shopify, in First Solar. Walk us through one of those and what you saw.
Well, Shopify, you know, it took a while to get going. I don't know if it's still gapping up, but it was like gapping up above 55 earlier. It was a decent trade. It did finally go. It took forever. Really, it has to clear this like 55-50 area. It was there last week. We traded it once last week. We traded it yesterday. It has to really push through. But now, if it has a gap up, you know, you have to see if it falls back into the gap or it could get going. It keep getting slammed around this 55-50 area. So I have to see how it acts. If it does, maybe then it pushes up a buck higher potentially. You know, we could see if it gets going. I'll watch it. Market the SPYs. We're just back at like 434. You have to see, you know, if this market's going to hang on here or what's it going to do. You know, sometimes, right, you get that rally. We had a nice little rally in the market over the past week and a half. And now we're like basing up in here, but it's not pushing through. It keeps like getting up to like a resistance zone and gets slammed down. So we'll see if it breaks through or not.
Yeah.
What do you think, JC? I mean, I know they say in October, buy and get yourself.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is the time to be buying seasonal weakness. There's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that buying this weakness is the right move, regardless of the fact that seasonally this is the time, right? There's credit spreads are as narrow as they've been. You continue to see rotation coming in when it needs to. If financials and small caps can catch a bid down here at key levels, I think everything gets going. Yep. You know, people you know, you look at mega caps that are really dominating, and people are like, well, small caps, you know, look terrible. They're down near lows, and they just completely skip mid caps right along the way, and they just go all the way down to the cap scale and conveniently forget to remind everybody that mid caps are holding up very well also.
Right.
So that's
So-
what I think. I think you buy stocks, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so I'm gonna watch First Solar. Baidu is keep getting hit. I don't know what's with Baidu.
Well, it's China, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
China stuff. So we'll see
yeah.
how it acts down here. You know, maybe, it's gonna go. I think like less is more right now. Not loving a whole lot just in general. I'm just not. It's just kind of like, if it was just me, I'd probably maybe do one trade or whatever. So we'll see if anything gets going. First Solar had a big day yesterday and we did trade it. So I'm going to look to it again. It's at a resistance zone. We'll see if it pushes through or not. It could not, or it could rest. Sometimes when you have a big day, it could pull in to yesterday's bar, into yesterday's move and just hang out there before it gets going, or if it's going to get going, right?
I mean, I like where your head is at on these solars. We were talking about some of these solars
Yeah.
yesterday. EMPH down near key support levels. I like where your head is at here a lot. I think this makes a lot of sense. You're pointing out the First Solar. We were talking about Enphase yesterday. I think if one works, the other one works. That's a really interesting group, Kimmy. I think you're spot on.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, Enphase. Oh yeah, that one's another one too, right?
When you look at the support levels that it's at and what it's been doing over the last week or so, it looks very similar to First Solar. So like I said, if you're right in one, you're probably going to be right in the other.
Yeah. So we'll see, if it gets going. Like I said, big day yesterday. So we'll see how it acts today.
Sure.
Market, I don't know where the spies are right now because I'm not looking. I'm looking at so,
down 40 base.
Right.
Yeah. All right. If you guys want to get Kimmy's trades in real time as she is making them, the only way to do that is to be in her trading room where she's going right now. Link to do that is in the description. Kimmy, thanks a lot. And what just happened? Are we okay? I lost. Kimmy's gone. JC is gone. Steve, you here? We're all here. Okay, that was very bizarre.
Hey, buddy.
We all had simultaneous computer glitches in the Matrix, but
You know what that means? If we all had simultaneous computer glitches, then it wasn't our computers. You see.
Maybe it was my computer. I'm not sure what just happened there. Anyway,
I wanted to talk about Billy's comment on how he never cared for Halloween, but his baby.
He's having internet issues today.
What the heck is going on? Yeah, very strange.
All right, he can finish his thoughts about Billy.
No, he's back. He's back. He's back.
Yeah, Billy's baby's due on the 31st. That's when my twins were born last year, on the 31st. So,
wow,
that's right. Yep. Halloween babies.
Halloween twins.
I did not know that.
Yep, that's right.
All right. Anyway, moving right along. We haven't talked earnings at all. Big day tonight. Big night tonight. We got Netflix. We got Tesla. We had a few last night too, and this morning. Maybe we'll start with.
Oh, we didn't get to ask Brett. He brought a Netflix chart too.
Oh, you're right. He did. I saw that.
Anyway,
let's start with United Airlines. They lowered their guidance. It's not about their earnings or whatever. They lowered their guidance though. They said the conflict over in Israel and higher oil prices are going to weigh on future quarters here and future profitability. So they did lower the bar for themselves going forward. Their backward-looking numbers were fine, but yeah, lowered guidance is never a good thing. So we're down to about 5% this morning in UAL. Anyone have thoughts?
Man, like Strazza always says, any of these industries and companies with unions, like, just stay away. Here's another.
Is that what Strazza always says? Does he always say that?
I don't say it that way at all, but that's funny. I don't hate it. I don't hate that.
The market does.
No, I don't hate your comment. I don't think you're wrong. But yeah, the airlines in general, they've been troubled businesses forever. I don't think that these are stocks that you want to own now, yesterday, tomorrow. Maybe that changes one day, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to have to change in the airline industry. The problem with a company like this, you always want to ask yourself, what is the product or service, right? And if it's a great product or service, but the stock fundamentally can't figure it out yet, that's encouraging, and maybe they figure it out. For the airlines, they offer a terrible service. The United States Airlines, at least the American Airlines, and then on top of it, they can't make any money doing that. So I don't see where they go from here, except down and to the right.
Yeah, I mean,
listen, when you go chart by chart, industry by industry group, right? Is this the one you're going to buy?
Never.
No, right? That's how I look at it. When I'm looking at charts, we live in a relative world, and there's so many opportunities out there every single day. And when you look at a chart that's kind of like, you move on, right? Turn the page. No big deal.
Oh.
And the airline sucking, funny comment in the chat, unfortunately has nothing to do with politics or any president. It's their own problem. It's not Biden's fault.
Yeah, it's just a bad business. And was it you who's talking about what a bad product it is also? Like they can't even give a good product? Was that you?
It's just saying
somebody else.
It was just saying that. Yeah,
that was you.
It's a terrible product and service, and then on top of it, they can't make money off of that. So that's a bad spot to be in.
I'm flying United tomorrow. I'll give you guys some boots on the ground reporting. When I haven't flown United in a while.
The new Newark section of United and all that is pretty nice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. The old Newark is not so nice. Okay, let's move on. We had the last of the big banks, Morgan Stanley. A lot of their segment revenues were down on a year-over-year basis. Not what you want to see. Their EPS was down year-over-year. Did beat though, I think. Sales beat as well. But, investment banking revenue down 27% year over year. Trading revenue down year over year. That's not what Goldman and Bank of America said, by the way. And JP Morgan, their segments were not all down year over year. So this is interesting here. So Morgan's down about 4%.
I'm going to be nibbling out here today. Call me the nibbler.
How many years in a row have they raised their dividend, Strazza? Like 11, 12?
It was 9 when we started doing the list.
So it's like 11 now, probably.
I think we got long this one through the Young Aristocrats scan late 2020.
With the target back at the all-time highs.
Yeah.
Right. And then since then, it's just been a mess.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm interested, though. I'll probably put a little position in Bank of America, a little trade on Bank
of America, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think you got to own them all.
Oh, God.
Spencer's reaction there says it all. Sentiment is a little bleak. I think you buy them all.
I love how hated these big banks are. And there's a time and a place to buy them. A lot of fundamental guys or bank analysts will just use book value. And once these things are trading below their book value,
yeah, that's true.
Tend to be pretty good buys. We've seen it over and over and over and over again.
Can we throw up slide 15? I want to scroll down for a few charts here. Yeah, actually not for a few charts, just 2 charts. Slide 15 here.
Oh God.
Right. Speaking of sentiment, I mean, just your reaction there when I threw up this chart. Yes, nobody likes it. Yes, I am impressed by how well it's held up despite the strength in the dollar, despite rising real rates. Gold is held in there pretty good, right? And as bad as it might be, throw up the next one. If you don't have enough Peruvian gold mining exposure, Spencer, Israel, how much?
Who are you? Who are you?
I mean, are
yeah?
You
what are you doing if you don't have?
Are you even trying to be diversified if you don't have Peruvian gold mining exposure? So here,
I must not be.
Buenaventura. How many gold miners do you know that are pushing up against new multi-year highs?
It was one of the first stock charts I ever sent JC Parets. I remember it well. It's a weird thing to remember.
Really?
We were at the Stocktoberfest in New York or wherever it was. Yeah. And I overlaid it with EPU, Peru.
That's right, EPU. It probably looks better than EPU, doesn't it?
I think it's one of the bigger holdings.
Is this one of the blue chips in Peru?
It's like a $10 billion stock, isn't it? It used to be.
No, 2.
Oh.
Yeah, settle down there, Baba Louie.
All right. I thought they were big. Listen, that's big in Peru.
2 billion?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Let's see. EPU. I think it makes the top 10 in EPU for sure, right?
Oh, you know what the big one is? Southern Copper Co., which I'll tell you a story. I sold this.
It's the third largest holding in Peru, by the way.
So I'm in my options account the other day, and I didn't want to make a transfer. I just want to free up some quick capital, make a trade. And I'm looking through, and I'm like, I gotta prune some of these positions. I got into SCCO probably the summer. I was buying the breakout, if we have the chart, and it kind of fizzled. And I figured I could be patient, but throwing in the towel on this one for now. It's such a nice looking chart. Eventually, this thing will be a screaming buy, and hopefully, I will be paying attention and can get back in then. But I just think, just like gold miners, just like copper miners, just like any of these industrial metals companies right now, energy too. These commodity stocks seem to need more time.
I think the time might be, a little sooner than you think. I'm seeing the perking up a little. The coffee's percolating.
Let's see some new highs. Let's see some breakouts then.
All right, agreed. We're not seeing new highs. We're not seeing any new lows either, by the way.
Hey, you know what's making new highs?
What is?
Coal.
What?
Coal.
What?
Yeah, what else is new?
Coal.
Yeah, that's right.
Coal's making new highs.
Yeah. As it probably continues to, as the commodities bull market continues, right? And if this is in fact a commodities bull market, then you're likely to see precious metals and base metals start to participate at some point, right? So you can reverse engineer the bull market for commodities and that rotation into metals in a similar way that we reverse engineered this spring the bull market in equities, and we were buying Caterpillar that looked terrible, and we're buying it at the lows, because if this was in fact a bull market for equities, you were going to get that bid in Caterpillar, and sure enough, you did. So I think that there's a similar sort of mentality of a sum of the parts. If this is a commodities bull market, metals are going to catch a bid. Feel me?
Okay, let's do this. Let's do hot corner,
Yes.
and then let's do our mystery chart, and then we'll bring on Mary. All right.
So hot right now.
What stood out? Tommy Tubbs.
So just like we said about the senator from the other day, don't go buying all your stocks at once, Mr. Tommy Tuberville. But he's not. He's always buying stocks. This guy's a junkie. He's always buying stocks like Cleveland Cliffs.
I was going to say, he already owns Cleveland Cliffs, and he's buying more.
Or the company that just got hacked, Clorox. So, yeah, interesting list here. Don't love any of them.
You don't love any of them?
No. I do want to talk about Lamb Weston, William Jurgensen. We throw up the LW.
Potatoes.
These guys
Potatoes.
Well, what potatoes?
dominate French fries.
So this is a potato company?
Yeah, this isn't like the Ore-Ida fries that you might buy in the frozen aisle. This is like industrial.
This is a supply. This is a McDonald's supplier.
Giant potato bags. Yeah.
They're based in Idaho. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So anyway,
They supply McDonald's.
this chart reminds me of Archer Daniels Midland. Right.
Better.
Nice big breakout, hard correction. You do have a clean level. If this is truly a new commodity super cycle, these guys probably do pretty well. This holds and might be a nice level to have entered.
William Jurgensen filing a Form 4 here, $quarter milli.
Yeah, no, I like it. Another one that really,
Is he,
yeah.
Is he from Idaho? That would make sense.
I don't think he necessarily needs to be in Idaho to understand that potatoes come from there.
No, but he could be just supporting the industry from his home district. I don't know, just a thought.
I don't know what it's a Form 4, so he's not a senator or anything. What do you mean?
Oh, never mind.
Yeah, he's an insider.
I thought he was.
No. He's an
all right.
insider.
Sorry.
He's an insider, and he's actually from I think he's from Nebraska.
Okay, never mind.
Can I finish? Can I finish
Yes.
my thing?
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about Starboard Value at the top of the show. Jeff Smith. These guys have been pretty active. So we got another 13D. This one we do know the percentage ownership. So you throw back up the table quick. Starboard Value. This is for Tria Holdings. 8.7%. Stock just came public. What? Less than a year ago? For symbol FTRE. No, it came public this summer. We have a decent amount of price memory at this point. There is some semblance of a base here shaping up. I think this one's interesting. $2.7 billion stock. No?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, but he got all that trouble back there from the summer.
Fill the gap from August. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
It's a biotech. But doesn't
that-
seem to be
That does change things.
classified as one. Yeah,
Classified as a biotech, 2.7 billion. What do you mean?
yeah, I'm seeing
Based in
commercial.
Durham, North Carolina, home of the old Durham Bulls. Speaking of movies, great movie, Bull Durham. If you haven't checked it out, I encourage you to. I also believe the designated hitter should be outlawed.
All right. Was that it from Hot Corner?
I mean, I just want to give a shout out to Tommy Tuberville.
I know the guy's a junkie.
I mean, the guy, is there a senator that trades more than Tommy Tubbs?
Throw up some of his charts. If you want to throw up Qualcomm, LPX, Cleveland Cliffs.
Qualcomm just announced pretty large layoffs.
I don't hate the Cleveland Cliffs, guys. I really don't. Spencer, throw up slide 2 here.
It's just there's better looking charts in that space.
Yeah, I don't hate, but look at what I'm seeing here on the Cleveland Cliffs. It's not terrible. That's a good one. Throw up mine.
They're just still messy, these charts, JC.
No one's arguing that.
Any of these commodity stocks, they're just big ranges.
You know, above 15, 16, buy this dip. I don't hate it.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, listen, we're getting cute. I'm with you. I'm just pointing it out. If you're looking for steel, these steel stocks are very inexpensive when it comes to market capitalization. These things are tiny. They move. They really move.
Spencer, do you have anything on these NVIDIA downgrades? I wasn't even.
Yeah. Assuming they're relating to the headline that actually this came out yesterday during the show that the White House was announced further restrictions on exports of AI chips to China specifically. So that's why the chips were all down yesterday. All the chip stocks, and
NVIDIA had to file an 8K because this is material to their business.
Yes, it is.
This wasn't just like a headline. This is real.
I'm assuming the downgrade is a reaction to that news. This isn't the first time we've heard this headline, by the way. I think about a year ago we had a similar headline that the White House came out and said they're going to limit what kind of chips can be sold to China, and then there was a bunch of loopholes in that. So I guess the thing from yesterday is designed to close a few of those loopholes. So that's the news that's driving the whole chip sector industry group. Whatever.
What if I said to you that this is not a surprise at all to the market and was actually already priced in? Because when NVIDIA was ripping Q1 and Q2 of this year, if you asked a bear what the bear case was, they would say, "Oh, but China, they're going to lose those sales eventually."
Yeah. Well, the other bear case is no one's figured out how to actually make AI like profitable yet. So
NVIDIA's not making money off of
no,
AI?
No. NVIDIA's like the only one, but the people they're selling to aren't, right?
Yeah, right.
So like, how long can this continue? That's the other bear case, but I don't know.
AI, any of these companies trying to build an AI platform or service, they are going to take on some serious costs, right?
Yeah.
And have to pay for that stuff before they ever make any money off of it. And again, it goes back to the thing we've been saying all year, that is why your Google, your Apple, your Microsoft, those are your winners. The companies that can afford it, can afford to make mistakes and still have money to invest in the next thing. Those are the ones. I think it's really as simple as that. Other companies, you're right. They're going to be taking on some insane costs trying to build out some things, and that can, be a risk to their business.
Yeah. All right, let's do the mystery chart, and then we'll bring on Mary. Do we have our mystery chart of the week here?
What is the mystery chart?
None of us have seen this yet.
This is the fun part about this. Ooh, .com bubble or COVID? On the left-hand side of the chart, that's a COVID.
What the hell? There's no x-axis.
This is ugly.
Yeah, this chart is definitely inverted.
How am I supposed to get
And it
this?
is breaking down. It is inverted and breaking down to new lows.
Is this AT&T?
Does AT&T look that bad?
I feel like no. I feel like we need a hint. This is
Yeah, come give us some hints. Am I on the right track with AT&T? Is this
Why? Because
Disney?
it's breaking down to new lows.
This is Disney.
No, it's not.
I think it might.
Come on. Wait. He said it's a ratio chart. What?
What an ass.
Listen, whatever it is, I'm a buyer of this. I'll buy this. All right, what is it? Tell me what it is.
You're buying a ratio?
I am buying whatever.
On.
I want exposure to the long side of whatever that chart is, whether it's inverted, a ratio, whatever it is. I like it. Ooh, insurance relative to financials. Well, there you go. Yeah, I agree with that already.
Right.
Yes. See?
I feel like we need to ban ratio charts from this segment. This is impossible.
No, we need to ban Spencer's opinion of mystery charts. That was an excellent mystery chart. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that was great. Do we have IAK on absolute terms?
Yeah.
Oh, he's ready.
Come on. This is 10 out of 10. Great, Miss. Who set that up? Was that the Fonz?
Yeah,
that was all Alfonso. Yeah.
How come nobody wants these stocks? How come
10 out of 10? Spencer.
Wait. How come nobody wants them? They do. Look, clearly they do, right?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Nobody's talking about insurance stocks.
When
are you kidding me? Have you seen
these
insurance stocks? Dude, go chart by chart. Look at Chubb. Look at Progressive. Look at Aflac, MetLife. Look at Travelers, Prudential. I mean, these stocks, Aon, Marsh McClendon, these things go from the lower left to the upper right, bro. They are doing the opposite of what airlines are doing. You think they got a lot of unions in these insurance stocks or not?
For this environment, for the next 2 quarters, you get to own one of 2 groups, insurance or capital markets.
Ooh, that's a good question because, if you're getting that catch-up trade from the others, right?
Yeah. Capital markets has already run, right?
Insurance has already run.
Insurance or banks?
You're looking for that beta, right? Right? You're going to get, it's riskier, but you're going to get paid for taking that risk. It's a good point.
Interactive Brokers, which is one that's always on my mind, pulling back so clean to its breakout level, incredibly actionable at current price. Because I was just looking at SIBO, and this thing is already left the station. Not really actionable here, but Interactive, nice pullback.
All right.
Interesting. Nice chart, Fonz. Nice work.
Yeah, good job. Mary?
Yeah, Mary's here. Let's bring her in. Let's find my lovely Mornings with Mary intro bumper, which I have. Okay, so what was the answer on the insurance versus capital markets? Did we have an answer? We
didn't want to pick one. It was too hard of a question. I stumped him.
Okay. All right, we'll bring Mary on.
Hey, Mary.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Just hanging in there. That was a nice little experience that we had in Chicago last week.
Oh, it was so much fun. It was so great to meet some new people, especially local to me. But it was fun.
Mary gets nervous driving in the city.
Okay, well, yes, because I live on the west side of Michigan, so our largest city is...
Where's that? How does that work?
So I live over here. So Detroit is over here, right? Well, kind of down there. So I live over here on Lake Michigan, and the closest city is Grand Rapids.
It's inverted. It's inverted. So
oh, sorry.
Yeah, you gotta do it the other way. But yeah, you're right.
The camera, whatever.
Right. I love how the Michiganders always do that. It brings such a smile to my face.
We're quaint like that. It's the Midwestern charm.
Anyway,
What
Mary,
did you think of last night's call?
Yeah.
Last night's call was good. You actually flew through charts really quickly, but it's like you said up at the top. A lot of just kind of the same from 2 weeks ago when we had our monthly call. Things just kind of have basically stayed the same. And so what I found most interesting, though, and you guys started talking about this yesterday, was the healthcare trade. And so last night after the call, I started looking more at some of our healthcare trades on the Rangefinder app and kind of going through some of those charts. And I've been long, like United Healthcare. I bought Lilly and Novo back last spring, just with the whole, Ozempic, Mounjaro narrative that was going on. So I was early into that trade. But the healthcare thing, I think, is an interesting trade that you guys have been talking about recently. But those are not the charts that I brought.
My dad called me yesterday and he said, I hear what you guys have been saying about Lilly. I'm up 5x on this stock the past year or two. I love it. I'm like, you got to get rid of it, or at least half of it, or at least 3/4 of it, because they get too big in your portfolio, right? And then you're taking on undue risk.
Are they a dividend raiser?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about Novo?
I would imagine so.
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, that Lilly, I'm up, I think about 75% just from last spring. And so I asked you guys in the chat in Slack a couple of weeks ago, what are your thoughts on Lilly? Just because, it's made the move, and yeah, I'm still trying to decide.
I'm really impressed. I was looking to sell some calls, out of the money calls. I'm still interested in it. I'm not in it. We were kind of waiting for earnings, right, which are coming up in a couple of weeks. Yep. Reevaluate the situation in early November. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with how well this thing is holding up. Very impressed.
$1 trillion in market cap between Lilly and Novo.
Yeah.
$1 trillion.
But so one of the reasons I bought the stock, if this, I know you're very skeptic, Stephen, rightly so, because we've seen this story before. But yeah. If this drug or these, types of drugs are for real, and there's, this could be life-changing and to such a huge part of the population. It could cure the obesity epidemic. Let's be real. That's how I look at it.
It better be for $1 trillion.
So, that's why I got involved. It seemed, I know people that are on some of those drugs, and the success stories that they have had are just amazing.
Do you know people on those drugs? I don't know anybody on these drugs.
I do.
Perlman, I was having a conversation with Perlman about it. Ask him. He'll tell you some stories.
Like bad stories, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that have lost weight on the
drug, so. Lost a ton of weight.
I know people who have gotten terrible diarrhea from it. So, there's both sides to this coin.
Right.
That's a common side effect of any drug. So I don't know.
I don't like it. Mary, what do you want to talk about? C Limited here?
Oh yeah, you and I have been talking about this one for the last couple of weeks. It's that's more of a victory lap, I guess. Just that the trade has been working. We're only going to talk about
our winners on Mary's segment.
The trade's been working. We talked about it 2 weeks ago, and it was just about in the process of rolling over. Talked about it last week, and it was moving again. And it's trading above all the moving averages. The trend is up right now. It's got that gap to fill. So letting that one ride as long as it's going up.
So I went out a little bit too far out of the money on this one, I think. I'm in the 48s. So
that's right. You were on options on this one. I was just in the common.
I'm in common too.
Okay.
And first I wasn't in the options. I got in the options, I think, last week or the week before on the retest of this 41. Yeah. But I'm in the 48 calls. So I need more from this stock. This thing's got to move higher and start filling this gap in the next couple of days if that trade's going to work. Something, similar with AMD, right? Where we started to get the move, started working, and then some big give back since last week here. Yeah.
That one, it's for me. I drew the trend line from the June highs, and we got the breakout from that trend line yesterday on the weekly. It looked like we came back down and retested. So I've been kind of building a position into AMD.
Mary,
I love semis.
Hold on. You drew a trend line? What did
I did. I'm
about
sorry,
this?
guys.
I said you get confirmation of this breakout above the VWAP, not
Right.
the trend line.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks, I guess.
Yeah. So that VWAP has kept a cap.
It has.
On the mean reversion advances over the past 3, 4, 5 months now. Still in play there, right around 110. Until you see that, base is still kind of just chopping around in no man's land. So
Yep. But if you're a shorter term trader, which I do a lot of, I mean, you can buy down, and then lower, and then take the trade up to the VWAP and sell right at that area of resistance that has been resistance until you get the confirmation through. So it can go multiple ways.
I think a lot of us did that too, right? We bought this little failed breakdown, scoop higher.
Yep.
Very quick trade. I was in like weekly calls a week or two ago. On my longer dated calls, no bueno.
I also did some AMD buying last week, by the way.
Well, things looked so good last week,
I did not.
Yeah,
I did not buy AMD.
Fair.
Yeah. Anyway.
And that's the other thing, right, with the Ozempic, Phil was kind of pointing out, was this is something that doesn't change your behavior, right? So you could take it, lose 30 pounds, but then what do? You stop taking it, keep living the way that you were used to living, and you gain.
That's a bullish argument. That's a bullish argument. That's a bullish argument. Okay.
So
Bullish
basically,
argument for the stock, not the human.
right? But if you're on board with this being like a life-changing thing, that probably means you take this drug forever.
And that's what I've heard actually from people that have been taking it. Their doctors have said this becomes a lifelong thing because if you go off it, the weight likely comes back.
I don't understand why you can't just exercise and eat healthy.
Oh, stop.
If you want to lose weight, why don't you just do that? Like, we know it works. Like, why is that so hard?
Yeah, I mean, I think, from I'm just speaking from someone that I know that's on it. They struggle with an addiction to food, just like any other addiction of alcohol or drugs, like they struggle with being able to have the self-control of saying no to food. And this has significantly helped them, so much so that, they've lost a ton of weight and they don't have the cravings. And for someone that struggles with that kind of an addiction, that's life-changing.
And I get that. I feel for them. I have food addiction.
I like this point from Steve, right? Where we're talking about the stocks, right? Eli Lilly and Novo, right? And Steve's bringing up a good point. These drugs are freaking expensive.
They are.
So what's the catalyst? And we've said this before, by the way, not the first time. It's the insurers, right? They come in, say, "Yep, don't worry, we got you covered." Boom. There's no reason. Isn't that worth something, right? Isn't that headline worth something in these stocks? Probably. Is that not a catalyst? Probably. So, unless you're saying the market is already looking, pricing that in, which, I guess anything could happen. But
$1 trillion.
That to me would seem like an argument for the bulls, a headline for the bulls.
Generally a rule of thumb. Part of my fundamental analysis is that if something's going to be good for insurance companies, it's probably something we want to bet on. If something's going to be bad for insurance companies, it's probably something we want to bet against. Right? It's one of those things. Fat Americans is probably something you want to bet on. Like, you want to bet on Americans continuing to be bad at being healthy. Those are good, safe bets. McDonald's, you know what I mean?
Not always.
So he's saying,
not always.
He's saying buy the French fries, buy the support in the Lamb Weston, and fade the Lily.
That's not always true. Kraft Heinz is a disaster.
They've always been a disaster.
Have they?
Yeah.
What's so disastrous about them?
I don't know. They do everything wrong, I guess.
Do they?
Yeah. Look at their chart compared to some of those.
Very, very long article that I
terrible.
did not. There was a very long article yesterday that I read about the first, fifth of in the Washington Post about how Kraft Heinz / Lunchables weasel their way into school cafeterias around the country. It was way too long to read the whole thing, but I read the first whatever.
Some of these staples companies that we love to say such nice things about. I dropped one in, I think, the research chat yesterday. For fun, I look at these consecutive down day indicators. Did you guys see the Hershey one? I dropped in?
No.
I'm telling you, long
didn't.
Mr. Beast. That's another one you want to bet on. You want to bet on insurance companies and Mr. Beast.
Some of these staple stocks, Hershey's is a great example. They have never sold off in this bearish of a manner. I mean, like down
that's
every day for months now.
Certainly every week or wait, how many down months in a row is that for Hershey? One, two, every month since May.
They hit 4 different streaks of 7 straight down days over the past few months.
And it's really only down 30%, which is interesting. I got to tell you, I'll find the podcast, but I was listening to a podcast with Mr. Beast, and he was making amazing points that these Mars people and the Hershey people that founded the company 150 years ago, no one's still around that started the company. This industry of chocolate is so ripe for disruption. And so Mr. Beast started a chocolate company and they're killing it. It was so fascinating. Very fascinating.
Yeah.
I like chocolate.
Me too.
So do Americans, right? A lot of Americans.
No,
Evidently.
but JC's point about the 30% decline, that's because it's a staple. That's safe, right? That's
the
safe.
dividend.
So yeah. Okay.
Can you
Anyway.
hit that bumper? Let's do a little recess. I want to hear what Mary has to say.
All right.
So my recess, well, I've tried not to talk football every time I'm on here, but I have to talk football this week, only because this weekend we've got Michigan with our in-state rivalry, Michigan versus Michigan State, 7:30 p.m. under the lights. It's going to be epic, and it's always a good game. And
Where?
regardless of standings, this game is always close, or usually close.
Where, Mary? Where is
At the Big House.
Excluding Syracuse, Michigan State is my least favorite college in the world.
Why? Oh, because basketball beef.
Oh.
Final Four thing.
Oh yeah.
You know these UConn people, these Connecticut people. You know they.
I
love
remember
women's
that game.
basketball.
Tom Izzo. They had that guy who's been on the Warriors forever now. Draymond
Green.
No.
Yeah, he's not very likable if he's not on your team.
So 364 days a year, I'm still a State fan, just not on the day that they play Michigan. So
Well,
that's what I'm excited about this week.
They are your little brothers, right? I thought.
Little brother.
That's right. Yeah.
They're
What
better
about
at
the Chippewas? How the Chippewas doing this season?
I have no idea. You can maybe ask Carrie and Brett. They went to see it.
I don't think anybody has any idea how the Chippewas are doing.
Wait, I'll ask my wife. She went there.
Oh, she
doesn't
did.
know.
I didn't realize that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Michigan's always been the better football team, Mary, but historically, hasn't Michigan State always been the better basketball school?
No, Michigan, especially in the 90s. Do you remember the Fab Five?
Remember timeout? Timeout?
They won one national championship in like the 80s?
No.
Michigan State has more championships.
They have more championships.
Michigan might have more whatever tournament. I don't know.
Michigan
it's
football,
close. It's close.
Michigan football used to win a lot of national championships back in the day when it was like 5 schools. It was like Fordham, Harvard, Michigan, and Army.
Yeah.
The Army was a big powerhouse. Like even Rutgers was winning back then. That's how bad the state of college football was.
No offense, Spencer.
Rutgers was not winning back then.
Offense intended, actually.
I'm not. No offense taken. I'm not a Rutgers fan.
Okay, that's a great 30 for 30 though. The Fab Five one. That was good.
It is good. My recess is over the weekend. We rewatched The Wolf of Wall Street, which I have not seen since it was in theaters. And you never know a movie that you enjoyed the first time if it's gonna be as good upon a rewatch, and it was as good. So that's a relief, and I thought it held up very well.
What's his name is absolutely hysterical in that movie.
Jonah Hill.
Yes.
Yeah, he's great with the fake teeth.
Yeah.
That was good.
So yeah, in case you hadn't seen it in a while, and the movie holds up. It's just as funny the second time around. That's my re-review of Wolf of Wall Street.
I'll do a recess on this. So this is a Martin Scorsese film. This is one of the Leo Scorsese duo films, which are all fantastic. Before it was Leo and Scorsese, it was Bobby D. And if you go way back, I've been watching, we're talking about old movies on here. We did Taxi Driver, which I've never seen. Okay. It's okay. I don't, not one of his best. Mean Streets. The first the first flick that Scorsese and De Niro did together, he plays like a 20-year-old kid, Robert De Niro. This movie is fantastic. It's called Mean Streets. If you haven't seen it, I think it came out like the late 60s. It is so good. Goodfellas, Casino, that whole kind of thing, but younger guys running around New York. It's a great movie.
Yep.
All right.
There's a new one coming out. A new Scorsese Leo film coming out. Killers of the Flower Moon.
Harvest Flower Moon. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
I'm interested.
Yeah. All right. Can we bring up the calendar? Oh wait, JC, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Oh no, I wanted to just share a picture I shared on Twitter. A lot of people were asking about it. This was the harvest last week, 4.6 tons of Cabernet Sauvignon, single vineyard, Calistoga Cab. Somebody was like, "Are you making wine in New Jersey?" I was like, "No, far from it, actually." Down by Cape May, where it's a little bit cooler. You got some little valleys down there. They're actually doing some not terrible wine, right?
How about upstate New York?
What's that?
How about upstate New York?
Also in the Finger Lakes, right?
Yeah.
You can get some nice dessert wine, some of that ice wine and stuff like that, ice vine. If you're into that sort of thing, I am actually. But no, if you want to make Cabernet Sauvignon, you go to the place that has the best, and that's just happens to be where our acre and a quarter is. So where
exactly? It's in Calistoga.
Calistoga, yep.
Yeah.
JC, did you get my pictures of the local fruit here from my friend?
Wondering what that was, Mary. Don't be drinking that Michigan wine.
Hey, now.
No. For the record, all 50 states produce wine. Only 3 of them produce wine that you can drink, though.
You're such a snob.
I'm not a snob. It has nothing to do with being a snob. It's just science, Mary. It's just science.
When you come to Michigan, we'll go to the big house and we'll go to some local vineyards.
No.
You need to have an appreciation of taste of all areas of the country.
I do not, but I will take you up on the big house. I will go. My mother-in-law buys me wine from Pennsylvania. She's like, I can't believe you're not going to drink it. I'm like,
did you just shut him up?
We got to shut this thing down.
I'm sorry, JC.
I'm not drinking your Michigan wine. And tell my mother-in-law I'm not drinking her Pennsylvania wine either.
We'll pair it with some deep dish pizza.
That's not. We can drink French wine. We don't have to drink wine from Michigan. We can drink the beer,
Actually, that's actually a good point.
Yeah, better.
We have good beer.
Moving right along. Here's the calendar for today. No part in the price action, unfortunately, but we do have What the Fick. Ian is back in the saddle at 11:30. We're talking about gold versus silver. We're talking hot corner at 1 o'clock with Steve, and options trade of the week with JC and Sean. That's more like it at 1:30. That's the schedule for the day. Thanks to our guest today. Thanks to Brett, thanks to Kimmy, thanks to Mary, thanks to all of you in the chat. Hit the like, subscribe, tell your friends. We'd appreciate it. Give us feedback. Email us for any feedback, good, bad, otherwise, questions at stockmarketmedia.com. Thank you very much. Go make some money. We'll see you guys later.
Adios.
Bye, guys.
It's about 3,000 bottles, Rick.
Run it. I can't take no loss. I don't need no